Welcome back to Scream House, where each chapter drags you further into the dark. Tonight marks part 3, the point where fear stops being a story and becomes something else. The things revealed here were never meant to surface, and once you hear them, you won't forget them. Turn down the lights, brace yourself, and if you're brave enough to keep going, like and subscribe for more. As the night drew on and the hours fell off the clock, I was given to deep sleep. All of a sudden, I heard the most terrifying scream I've ever heard. It was loud, to say the least, and full of terror. I jumped out of bed and ran over to my window to see if I could spot anything. Darkness. I could see nothing but the darkness of night as it swallowed my entire backyard and everything beyond that. But I knew what I heard. Lord, am I going crazy? I thought to myself. First the weird dream, and now this. What's going on here? I mumbled to myself in a low, nervous tone. Ah! There it went again. I ran over to my closet and grabbed my flashlight from the top shelf. A few pieces of clothes I had yet to find a dresser drawer for had fallen in the process. The screams continued as my heart pounded. What are you doing, Abe? I thought to myself. In the back of my mind, I knew I wasn't doing the smartest or the most logical thing. I knew the smart thing to do was wake my parents. I knew the smart thing was to tell them what I heard, or maybe bring them to my room so they could hear the screams for themselves and call the authorities. But I didn't do the smart thing. To be honest, I didn't know what I was doing. I thought maybe someone needed help, and I could be of use. I even thought the screams might belong to Melissa, and that alone gave me a courageous push. As I made my way down the very dim hallway, tiptoeing at a fast pace across the living room, I finally reached the end of the hallway. From there, I made my way over to the backsliding door, hand trembling and all. Yet I was determined to find out where that scream had come from. So, there I went, against my better judgment, against God-given common sense, against all my mother's wisdom, against all my father's logic. I still went. As I stood in my backyard overlooking the gory backwoods that covered the grounds over and across my backyard wall, butterflies filled my stomach, as did my mother's spaghetti from just a few hours before. But the feeling I got from my mother's famous dinner was the exact opposite of what I feel now. That feeling a few hours ago was pleasurable, warm, sweet, and satisfying. This feeling was grotesque, queasy, unhealthy, and diseased. I felt horrible. And yet I didn't know why, because technically nothing had even happened to me. But by those unforgiving screams, I could tell something had happened to someone somewhere, and it wasn't good. Why did we have to move to a neighborhood with dark, haunting backwoods as backyards? What on God's green earth were my parents thinking? I said out loud. Anything could be in these woods. Oh, well, it's now or never, I said as I jumped my back wall. I walked up a long, dim, bushed trail that led me deeper into the woods, deeper than I intended or even wanted to go. But this is where I thought the screams had come from, so I continued. The trail was long and tedious, with huge, weirdly shaped trees that seemed as if their branches were reaching out to snatch me from the ground and devour me. I couldn't stop the disturbing thoughts as I got even further into the woods that seemed never to end. The trail itself was terrible, and the screams were enough to drive anyone crazy. As I walked, every small stick that cracked under my shoes gave me the creeps. I kept thinking someone or something was behind, but I was too afraid to turn around, because if I saw that whatever was breathing down my neck was going to grab me by my throat, and in those dark, ugly, ungodly woods, I would take my last breath. Don't think like that, Abe, I thought intensely to myself. Dear God, I was terrified, and the moon made things no better. It was unusually full and closer than before. So close that it seemed as if I stretched forward my hand, I could touch its curvy surface. It was so big, and near that, as I looked up into its immense glow, I felt so small and powerless. Suddenly, I heard a crackling in the bushes nearby, as if a tiny, fragile stick had been broken in pieces. I stopped. I didn't make a move. It was as if my legs were frozen or my feet were nailed to the ground. My eyes opened so wide, I thought I was going to burst a blood vessel or something as I nervously turned in the direction of my flashlight. I knew I had heard something, yet I was praying that I wouldn't see a thing. But I did see something. It was something my flashlight had caught as I was slowly casting it over the grounds. It was a little way to the right of me, and from a distance, it looked like a bald field of dead grass, but with a squint of the eyes, I spotted odd forms of God knows what lying in the field. It looked like dozens of rolled-up blankets, but it was too dark to tell from where I was standing. Besides, why would anyone leave blankets in the middle of the woods? Whatever it was, I had to know, even though my mind and heart said push on and forget it. But my curiosity got the better of me. As I got closer to the patch of grass that piqued my interest, what I saw caused a great fear to fall upon me. Don't panic, Abe. Just don't panic. Who would do something so terrible? Sweet Jesus in heaven, who would do this? I said, as I looked upon dozens and dozens of dead animals. Foxes with their limbs torn off, small rabbits with broken necks, mangled dogs, and so many more. It was just so many. My mouth fell open as I stood there in the middle of the woods in pure shock. Every fiber of my being wanted to turn and run for dear life. But all I could do was stand there and stare at what seemed to be the work of a deranged lunatic or an escaped mass murderer straight out of one of Stephen King's horror books. After a few moments had passed, I told myself to push forward. Someone needs us, Abe. We can do this. As I continued my journey, I couldn't help but wonder what was in store for me after what I just saw. Leave grief where it is, and it will leave you where you are. My mother's words of wisdom ran through my head, and if this wasn't grief, then I don't know what is. And with those thoughts came fear and anxiety, yet in some way the whole ordeal was strangely funny to me. I'm the same guy who slept with a nightlight till 6th grade, and here I am, playing Midnight Detective. As I continued into the thicket, I couldn't help but sweat uncontrollably. I was so afraid that my legs felt like jelly, and every step I took felt more challenging. I had begun to draw closer to the agonizing scream, and once again, thoughts of turning back plagued my mind. All I had to do was pretend like I never heard a scream or anything else. Besides, this wasn't my problem anyway. Just turn and go back home to your cozy bed, Abe, I thought. But for some strange reason, I felt like it was my responsibility, my duty almost to see this thing through, as if I were being compelled to seek out the nightmarish screams. Then out of nowhere, I saw it. The spookiest log cabin home I'd ever seen, sitting up on a hill pushed further back and up a slight uphill trail. Just the sight of the place gave me chills in places I've never had chills before. It was dark and gloomy. I mean dark as in sinister. I mean dark as dooming. I mean dark as in evil. The cabin of horror had 2 huge windows through which I could see. Yet what threw me off was the fact that neither had light shining through it. One would think that in a place in the middle of the woods, engulfed in darkness, as this one was, it would have some sort of light. I knew this had to be the place where the scream had come from. Of that fact I was sure, because there was no other place. The logs and boards that made up the place were old and rugged, as if the place had been there since the early 1800s. The screams got louder, as if the person's pain had intensified. I could tell by the last outburst that the high-pitched wailings belonged to a girl, and a young one at that. I stood there stiff as a statue, not knowing what my next move was, wondering if I could be of any help at all. I decided to stoop a little lower and crawl closer to the window. Suddenly, my hand slipped on an awkward rock, and my flashlight went tumbling down the rocky hills trail. Now, with the moon as my only light, I knew the night had gone from bad to worse. So I just sat at the bottom of the window, making sure my head wasn't visible. My breathing was heavy and completely out of control. I had to calm down. My forehead became heavy with perspiration, and I could even feel my back growing damp as I sat back against the cabin wall. Okay, Abe, we made it this far. Let's at least see what's going on and then report it to the authorities, I thought to myself, trying my best to settle my nerves. Once I finally built enough courage to press forward, I picked my head up over the side and peeked into the window. Much to my surprise, there was no one there. Man, I know I'm not crazy. What's going on? I asked myself. Where on God's green earth did the screaming girl go? And better yet, what the heck is she screaming for? Was it all some sort of new kid in town joke? Were all the kids in my school in on it? Maybe this is like some huge prank for a bunch of kids with nothing better to do than to see me pee my pants. Or worse. If it were, I would never forgive them. How could they? Why would they do something like this? I would never be able to show my face at school again. They would die from laughter and busted guts every time I showed up. No, there just was no way this was a joke. I knew, deep in my bones, that this was real. I guess, deep in my heart, I really did wish it was all some big prank. But reality told me I wasn't so lucky. These were all the thoughts that ran through the halls of my mind as I looked through the window of terror. My mind was spinning with suspense. The shouting had completely stopped, and silence settled in. I couldn't hear a thing. Not a snake slithering or an owl hooting. Not even a rabbit running across tiny sticks. Besides, from what I saw in that field, all the animals of the woods were brutally done in. Then, out of nowhere, the terrifying scream resurrected. I knew then if I was going to do something, I had better make my move now. I couldn't just let this poor girl suffer. It wouldn't be right. I burst through the front door as if I was possessed by my favorite action hero. Much to my surprise, it was empty. No couch, no TV, no nothing. Lord, I must be insane to be here, wherever here is, I thought. I felt like I was trapped in a demented Twilight episode. The room was small yet vast in forsaken hollowness. There was nothing that occupied the space. The floor was hard and stony, covered with dirt. Besides the 4 brick beam posts that held up the roof, there was nothing else. As I stood there, barely in the cabin, with the moon casting my shadow on the surface in front of me, I felt a deep void. It was like nothing I'd ever felt in my life. The closest feeling of despair I could mildly bring my mind to link with this deathly feeling was when I got lost in the supermarket as a child. I couldn't have been any older than 8 or 9. When my mother and I were standing in the aisle, she was looking at cleaning products, and my attention was focused on the toys, not on her. "Come on, Abe," my mother called, but for some reason I didn't follow as she believed I did. I stayed there with my eyes glued to action figures and tiny race cars. Once I finally had my fix of what I was about to beg my mother to buy, I looked up and she was gone. I searched up and down the next couple of aisles, not knowing that once my mother noticed I wasn't behind her, she was headed right back to the aisle where she last saw me. But I panicked, and before I knew it, I was sick to my stomach and afraid out of my mind. There were just too many people, and the market was big. I thought that I would never see my mother again. I was finally spotted by my mother and the supermarket security guard. I was never happier to see a familiar face. I would never forget that feeling of being departed, isolated, and lost, because until now, I have never felt such a nasty feeling. I soon forgot about the emptiness in the home when I saw the shadow of a boy in the gloomy hallway, and what I saw next would give Freddy Krueger nightmares. The figure in the hallway had begun to transform into something else, something inhuman. Then out of his mouth came a horrible crackling noise. My body shook uncontrollably, and I wanted to turn and run, but my feet felt cemented to the cold, dark floor. Is this really happening? This must be some horrible dream, I thought. I was so terrified I couldn't think straight. All I could do was just stand there, trembling in my baseball pajamas, trying my best not to pee in them. I was worried I would pass out. I closed my eyes tightly and then opened them up again quickly to make sure I wasn't seeing things. But this wasn't make-believe, and I wasn't hallucinating. I wanted to run. God knows I tried to run, yet I stood there, knees shaking and hiding behind one of the brick posts that divided the living room and hallway areas. What I saw next was the shadow of a girl. Her body was tightly hooked in the arms of the beast. She screamed loudly, but I could do nothing to help her. I felt helpless, pitiful, and useless. My mind was too petrified to think straight. In fact, my mind was nothing more at that point but mush. The beast tore her shirt off and threw it across the hall, and it landed at my feet. It was a pink blouse with the picture of a rose on the sleeve, stained in blood. Her blood. What I witnessed next turned my stomach so bad I could have thrown up a year's worth of everything I had eaten. The shadow of the beast devoured the innocent girl's body whole. My eyes couldn't believe what they were seeing, what they were witnessing. A crime so heinous and unspeakable, so revolting that it just couldn't be true. There was no way I was really seeing this. I was so terrified that I stumbled back and bumped the wall. Then the beast's shadow turned, and his beastly form transformed again into the boy I had seen earlier. He then made his way up the hall. I turned and ran for the door, but it was too late. It saw me. Dear God, it saw me. Though I couldn't say for sure because I was too busy running for dear life. Running and tumbling, all the way down the rocky hillside, which was all I could do, not knowing if the beast boy was behind me or not. I was so terror-stricken that it felt like I was going to die before I reached my home. I ran so fast, it felt like my body couldn't keep up with my legs, fearing that the beast could catch up at any moment. My hair crawled on the back of my neck, tingling down my spine in horror. All I could think about was getting away. Once I finally saw the pathway leading out of the woods to my home, I ran even faster, never even looking back, no matter how much I wanted to. I ran past the odd trees, past the fields with the animals' remains. I just ran. Go, Abe, go. Don't you dare stop. I thought so loud I couldn't hear the unsettling sounds of the woods, only my thoughts. Once I finally made it out, I jumped over my back wall and rushed through the sliding patio door. I locked it and dashed into my room, locking that door as well before jumping into my bed and pulling the covers over myself, trembling like I was fresh out of the tub on a freezing winter's night. I didn't sleep a wink. I couldn't afford to. Even if I tried to, my mind wouldn't allow it. As I sat there shaking my pants off, all I could think of was how stupid it was to go there in the first place. Did I really just see that? Was it real? No, it wasn't real. It couldn't have happened. There's just no way, right? I questioned myself in disbelief. My heart was like a cargo of fear, carrying all the terror that it could hold. But I couldn't just ignore the screams, could I? I should have done something, but what? Man, oh man. I was so frustrated and upset with myself. I couldn't think straight, and I was literally having a nervous breakdown. What was I going to do? And more importantly, who would believe me? I didn't know what was really going on around me. I knew I was in my room and that I had made it from the beast's cabin, but it all really didn't register as reality yet. My bed was bare of the flat sheet and blanket because they were all wrapped around me at the head of the bed, which was up against my wall next to my closet. I held the top of the baseball-covered blanket so tight up to my face, I could feel my fingertips loosing blood. Even though I wanted to look out my window to see if I spotted anything, that fear I spoke of wouldn't allow it. The night had finally ended, and the day had given way to a bright new sun. Yet there was nothing bright about my situation. I knew my parents wouldn't believe me, but I had to try. I waited till I heard my mom in the hallway closet. Then I burst out of my room frantically. "Mom, Mom," I yelled. "Yes, slow down and tell me what's the matter. Slow down, Abe," my mom answered. "Last night I heard a horrible scream, so I snuck out to see where it came from," I said. "You did what?" she replied in anger and surprise. "Listen to me, Mom, please," I yelled. "I know I shouldn't have, but I did. I went up through the backwoods, and partway up there's a flat surface sitting on a small hill with a log cabin on it," I continued. "Don't be silly, Abe. There is no log cabin up there," my dad added. "No, Dad, there is. And there was a beast boy who lived in it, and I saw it eat some little girl that he captured. I don't know where he took her from, but whatever it was that ate her, he really did. I know this sounds crazy, but it's true. Please believe me. You guys just have to believe me. I wouldn't make this up. Mom, please. Dad," I begged. Though I know it was a hard pill for them to swallow because I saw it. and I still wasn't completely convinced it was real. "Enough!" my dad yelled with an "I had it up to here" demeanor. "Abe, you had a horrible dream. Nothing more," he continued. "There are times when our dreams seem so real. Trust me, son, I've had them too. As a matter of fact, I dreamed I had $1 million last night, but I woke up from that dream, and so did you. But there was no Beast Boy, no girl, no cabin, no $1 million, or anything else for that matter. Neither did you leave this home in the middle of the night. It was all just a terrible, terrible, terrible dream," he said as he looked towards my mother with a "what's up with our son" expression. "Now go get washed up and then grab your things and head to school, young man," he finished, looking crossly at my mom as if I was demented. "But," I pleaded, but it was no use. As I finished brushing my teeth and washing my face, I began to get dressed, thinking to myself, "Make them believe you, Abe. You're not making this up, are you? Was it all a horrible dream? Some crazy midnight nightmare?" "No, and you know it wasn't," I told myself. I then grabbed my backpack from the arm of the dining chair. "I mean it, Abe. March, march, march," he demanded. "And we will talk about this more when you get home, young man." Scaring me like that, talking about leaving in the middle of the night. What is wrong with you? "Just a nasty old dream, that's all, and nothing more," my mom finished in astonishment. I finally came to the conclusion that my parents wouldn't believe me, even if I talked until my face was Smurf blue. So I continued to prepare for school while my parents whispered about my late-night fiasco. Dad drove me to school, and I thought about what I was going to do, if anything at all. And though the sun was shining and the trees swayed gently as a soft breeze kissed their leaves, I couldn't feel a thing. No joy, peace, or even the simple appreciation of a gorgeous day. It was an especially warm day in Nevada, but that didn't matter to me. I had grown numb over the events from last night that wouldn't stop playing over and over again in my mind. I was still shaking inside, but I tried my best not to show it. "Now remember, son, last night was nothing more but a horrible nightmare," my dad went on as the car slowed. You always knew when my dad was in the mood for a lecture. The car slowed down to about 5 miles under the speed limit. "When I was your age, I had them too, bad dreams, you know. I had them about vampires. I remember one night I dreamt a vampire had flown through my window and snatched me out of my bed," Dad continued. "It was like something straight from a horror movie. I can still remember its eyes to this day, deep, blood-red eyes. Yikes." My dad shivered. "I still get goosebumps just thinking about it. I can remember calling my mom and dad, and they burst into my room while I sat in my bed, shaking and drenched in sweat. But you know what, son? It was just a dream. Even though I could have sworn it was real, it was still just a dream." "I got it, Dad. Just a dream," I replied in that manner, just so my dad wouldn't go on about how wrong I was. Because in my heart of hearts, I knew that what I saw last night was not just a dream. It was real, and I was bent on proving it. "Hey, what's up?" Melissa asked, nudging me from behind. I didn't even answer her at first. I was so lost in my thoughts. That girl. That poor, poor girl. And I didn't do anything to save her. I could have. I should have done something, I thought, strolling as I stared directly at the ground as if I was searching for something I'd dropped. But in this case, the only thing I'd lost was my sanity that I'd misplaced the night before in the beast cabin. "Hello, in there. Are you okay?" she asked. "What happened to you this morning? I waited by the mailboxes, but you didn't show." "Oh, hey, Melissa, I'm so sorry. I had a little trouble this morning," I answered. "Are you okay? Is everything all right?" she asked. "I'm okay, just a little tired," I said. "A little tired. It looks like you're about to fall on your face," she said jokingly, but I didn't laugh. It took all the power in me to conjure up a half smile. To be honest, I was surprised she even got that. I was dealing with an ordeal so frightening that I couldn't collect all my thoughts and process them correctly. If I had done so, I would have sat her down and told her everything, but I couldn't. Yet I wanted to. I wanted to say it to her so badly, but I had no idea how she would react. The last thing I wanted to do was lose the only real friend I had. So, what was I going to do? Was I to pretend the whole ordeal never happened, forget about it, and move on? No, I couldn't even think. Everything in my entire body wanted me to, but I just couldn't do it. I couldn't forget. If I live to be 80 years old, I'll still remember. I may be in a convalescent home, lying on my deathbed. I may have lost all my teeth and hair. I may have lost my youth and sense of humor. But I will never lose the memory of what happened the night I went into the beast cabin. Nor will I forget how he devoured that poor, poor girl. I will never forget. Dear God, I felt like I was going crazy. My first class had started, and by that time, I had already made up my mind to keep quiet. It was probably best. At least that's what I tried to make myself believe. I was so tired that my head kept nodding towards my desk. That morning, our teacher, Mrs. Monopoly, addressed the class in a strange manner. As she called for our attention, you could tell something was wrong. "Class, I have some bad news," she explained with tears threatening to fall from her eyes. Before she finished, I already knew what she was going to say. I looked over at Amber's desk. It was empty. Yes, it was her. It had to be Amber Little, I thought to myself, my heart falling into my belly, and I just wanted to go home. I really couldn't explain why. I just wanted to be away from the bad news I knew Mrs. Monopoly was about to spew from her mouth. Somehow, in my gut, I knew it was her. I didn't know how I knew, I just knew. Just then, a flashback hit me. It was like I was in that smelly, dark, horrifying cabin while the beast got a full belly from Amber's body. I finally came in just in time to see my teacher begin to crack as she told us that Amber never made it home after school the day before. She was really tight with Amber's mom, so she got the call first. Mrs. Monopoly said that the police hadn't found any leads on where she could be. I knew in my heart they never would, because what I didn't see the night before, I know now. Those mysterious screams in the backwoods belonged to Amber, and the beast boy in the cabin filled his belly with her bones. Poor Amber, poor Amber, I whispered sadly to myself. Mrs. Monopoly tried her best to keep the hurt of not knowing what happened to Amber bottled up inside. Yet, as she stood there in a flower-covered yellow dress, I could tell she was heavily bothered. On another note, we will keep Amber in our prayers and hope for her safe return, she said, trying her best not to crack anymore. Just then, the classroom door opened, and Mr. Booker stepped through with his left arm on the shoulder of a young boy. "Greetings, class. We have a new student joining us. I want him to fell right at home. Is that understood?" Mr. Booker finished. "Well, take a seat in any available spot, Mr. said Mrs. Monopoly. "Billy, my name is Billy," the young boy stated. "Okay, Billy. Well, it's a pleasure to have you join us," said Mrs. Monopoly. "No, the pleasure is all mine," Billy replied. I couldn't quite put my finger on it at first, but there was something about Billy that didn't sit right with me. Maybe it was his extremely jet black hair, or the fact that he was wearing all black from head to toe. He was of average height with an average-looking face, but there was still something that didn't sit right with me about him. School wasn't the same. With all the rumors of what happened to Amber floating around, it made things a little edgy. The funny thing was, no one really knew what happened except one person, me. I heard a few rumors being tossed around at the lunch table, but I told Melissa, Johnny, and Susie to pay it no mind. "I can't stop thinking of where she could be," Johnny said, looking puzzled while taking a bite from his ham and American cheese sandwich. "I know, right? It's just not her. Amber would never stay out all night." "I'm worried, you guys," Susie added. "What do you think, Melissa?" asked Susie. Melissa looked at me as if I had asked her the question, and her eyes were deep with concern. "What do I think? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know." She cried as she covered her face with both her hands. "It's okay to cry. Let it out. Let it all out," I said, as I wrapped my arms around her shoulders. After school, Melissa and I headed home. I could tell she was still heavily bothered by the disturbing news our teacher had given us. "What do you think happened to her, Abe?" she asked curiously. I wanted so badly to tell Melissa the truth. The cabin, the screams, the beast, even Amber. I tried to tell her everything, but I couldn't. I just couldn't. I tried to take Melissa's mind off Amber, even if I couldn't get over it myself. About halfway home, I managed to talk Melissa into a different conversation, something that had nothing to do with teenage girls being brutally murdered. She was even starting to come around too. Even I was feeling a little better. That was until we ran into Billy standing by a stop sign, and little Miss Friendly just had to open her big mouth. "Hey, you're Billy, right?" she asked. Well, of course he's Billy. The teacher told us that, I thought. "Yes, I am. And you are?" he replied. The nerve of this guy, I thought. "I'm Melissa, and this is Abe," she answered. "Don't introduce me to this creep." I cringed. "So, where are you from, Billy?" Melissa asked. "Oh, all over and all around. Just a little bit of everywhere, I suppose," he answered, whatever the heck that meant. You've got to be kidding me, I thought. To be honest, I was growing pretty angry. Not so much because this guy was a complete weirdo, but more so at how he and Melissa talked all the way home. As we stood at the sidewalk leading into our neighborhood, Billy asked Melissa where she lived. "I live directly across from Abe in this neighborhood here," she answered, pointing in the direction of our neighborhood. "And how about you? Where do you live?" Melissa asked. "My parents are what you might say, renting a place up on the edge of the hillside. We won't be here very long, that's why we're renting," he answered. "What does that mean? You won't be here long? Planning on leaving us already?" I asked sarcastically in a feel-out manner. He ignored me, pretended like he didn't hear a word I said. "Melissa, I would love it if you'd come over to my place sometime. I'm just dying to have you for dinner," Billy said as he glanced over at me. My mouth dropped wide open, and the chills I got at the cabin rushed through my body. I grabbed Melissa by the arm and rushed her down the street. "We have to go now," I said frantically. "You guys can check out my place anytime if you like. It's really cool," he yelled. "No, thank you," I yelled back sneeringly. "What is with you, Abe?" Melissa proclaimed in a confused manner. "Look, Melissa, I didn't want to involve you, but it looks like I have no choice," I replied. "This is going to sound crazy, but everything I'm about to tell you is true," I explained. "Just tell me, Abe," she said with concern. "Well, it's about Amber," I continued. "What? What about Amber? Tell me," she said. I began to tell her all that happened from beginning to end, from my room to the eerie cabin. But before I could finish, Melissa began to yell at the top of her lungs. Shut up, you're a horrible person, Abraham," she cried. "The only reason I'm telling you this is because of Billy. There is something really strange about him. The way he said, 'Have you for dinner?' I don't know, Melissa, but there is something horribly wrong here," I finished. "You know what? I thought you were a better person than this, but to sink this low. I don't even know what to think about you anymore. Just go away, I never want to see you again," she yelled as she stormed into her house. My heart was broken. It felt like she snatched it out of my chest and slung it down the gutter drain she left me standing next to. There was nothing left to do except turn and go home, so I did. Head hung low and eyes holding back heart-wrenching tears. "Hey, honey, how was school?" my mom asked. I didn't answer. "Did you hear your mother, son?" Dad asked. "Okay, I guess," I answered. I didn't have it in me to tell them the truth. Besides, they didn't believe me about the beast or the cabin, so why would they believe me if I tried explaining it again? "Well, go get washed up, and after you do your homework, come help me with setting the table because dinner will be ready soon," Mom said, standing in the kitchen with an apron around her waist, looking cross and concerned about my demeanor. As I walked towards my room, I could see my dad trying not to make his "what's wrong with him" facial expressions too obvious to my mother, while he sat in his recliner, one leg crossed over the other, the newspaper covering most of his face. Once dinner was ready, I could tell Mom and Dad had an arsenal of questions cocked and loaded, just waiting to launch them at me. Maybe they thought their only child was cracking, mentally disturbed, or perhaps they were just plain concerned with my behavior. I must admit, it was a whopper of a story I was sending their way, even if it was true. "So, do you want to tell us what last night was about, son?" my dad started as he laid his dinner napkin across his lap. "I told you already, Dad. I saw what I saw," I replied. "Abe, maybe you did see what you say you saw. We're not denying that. But what you did see was in your dreams. You had a terrible nightmare, nothing more," Mom added. "Now, Promise you're going to leave it at that because I don't want to hear another word of this nonsense, okay? She finished. Okay, I agreed. I would have agreed 1,000,000 times over just to get them to leave me alone. Truth was, I had already given up on trying to make them believe me in the first place. Anyhow, maybe it was best they didn't know that a bloodthirsty monster was on the loose. No telling, they'd probably lock me in my room for the rest of my life. Besides, the less stress I could bring on my mom and dad, the better. I would just have to deal with this devilish can of worms on my own, because in my heart, mind, and soul, I know what I saw, and I knew that the ungodly monster had murdered Amber for his unholy reasons, and that was that. The rest of dinner went on as usual. It was strange. It was like Mom and Dad forgot just that fast about the whole situation. One minute it was the pickle of the house, then the next they were discussing their jobs and other adult issues.